Iar noi continuăm, and we continue our presentations, our day today. Hello, Michael.
Hi. Hello.
We can see you, we can hear you. Vom continua, dragi participanți, cu un nou speaker, cu un alt speaker, care ne va prezenta produsele Watchguard, soluții de firewall, securizarea infrastructurii prin diferite politici de securitate. Dear Michael, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And we look forward for your presentation. It looks okay. It looks, we hear you and we can see you and even your presentation. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. And by the way, the start is already much better than last time because it took some time. So really a big thanks from my side to be, in this case, the first time in front of you in your country or in virtual in your country. So I'm happy to provide you some information about Watchguard. Watchguard is distributed via ROMSIM RSD in a couple of countries. So I'm really happy to work with you and with your customers. So let's dive into a kind of product overview of Watchguard. So I need to switch here. And at first, I would like to share you some ideas why we are designing products and why we specifically decided some ideas and positioning our product. So the background of this is obviously a situation we face in most areas in the world. Like many companies are affected by the bad side of the internet, the hackers, and facing some cyber attacks. I mean, this survey is out of 2019, long time ago, but it's still valid in a kind of same range of numbers. So 2/3 is really already attacked from the dark web, from hackers. And 2/3 of them, which means 50% of all companies out there, have already seen some effect in IT security, means data breach, etc., etc. This costs a lot of money, and at the end, many companies are already out of business since they faced some heavy attacks. Why is this the case? Why is this even possible? Because we all are clever. We all think we have secured our company in the best way we can do. But also, I mean, the dark web, the people in the dark web are also getting clever every day. I think it's a challenge these days that we see so many companies really affected. And we dived into this because this is really the base to develop products, to provide solutions to customers around the world. And some main topics here, we identified it that in many cases, companies are not really having the right IT security guys in the company. So they may have really clever IT guys, but not a lot of people are really dedicated to IT security or really trained in IT security in the right way. And we do see this around the world, that IT security investment is not as of interest than other things. Other things like something you can see in front of you, like an iPad. We have just seen in the presentation before. It's a much cooler device than a firewall or a service you subscribe to a security company. So that's why IT security is unfortunately always a little bit behind. So it's a matter of cost involved here. And then even if you are able to get some good products, some security products, do you have the right time associated with IT security? Do you have the time to take care about this? Is it possible for you to identify in a really fast and easy way what is currently happening in your network? What is currently stopped at the perimeter? What is the next step in IT security you have to do? So converting what you see into an analyzing situation and then afterwards into an action means an additional rule in a firewall, an additional service you have to configure and all this. And then at the end, look at all your colleagues in your company. It is still a challenge to keep them trained in IT, and it's even more a challenge to keep them trained in IT security. Not that many people do have really something in place, kind of yearly ongoing training please be aware of phishing, for example, because this is an ongoing situation. You can't, and this is what we see, you can't train people once you hire them and said, hey, here, these are the company rules, and then you leave it. This doesn't work because IT security or those who are, in the world there and try to hack your company, those are developed further. So you as a company and every single employee has to develop further. So these basics, these principles we see around the world, forced us really to develop our products into in some direction. And one is obviously the pillar on the left side is really the right technology, the level, the deep of security in any product we offer. It is not about just an additional offer. It is about how deep the technology can be. Look at an attack. Can we stay in front of a company to make sure that even the latest developments of attacks are really not hitting a company? So intelligent protection is really key, and this is more or less obviously. But if you dive into several vendors, how they are doing this, then it's getting quite different. So we at Watchguard focusing on security since 24 days actually. So since a very long time, and we do nothing else, so we know what to do and how to act here. And this is the right time to talk about how to act, because it is about simplifying management. You can't assign that many people because you don't have them in your company to take care about your security infrastructure. As I said before, you only have a limited time or even no resource at all. So simplified management is really key to roll out products, to keep products alive, and to manage products. If this is not simplified, then it fails. And simplifying means not one feature is simplified and the rest of the features are probably complicated. No, the products overall, every single level of feature set must be configured using a simplified management. On top, we strongly believe that those experts need to have access to some more deeper management levels, and this can be done as well. But most customers are really happy with a simplified management. And for those who are on the call here, being a service provider is also helpful for you because this limits the time you spend to serve your customers. And the third pillar is obviously, if something happens, if something is identified, someone tried to abuse a network infrastructure, etc., this must be identified immediately and shown to experts. So visibility to what's happened is really key. And this doesn't mean we provide log lines. A log file it's tons of data, it's tons of crypts, means IP addresses, and all these nice and funny technical stuff. This is not really usable if you don't have time, etc. And for the first action you have to do. So even the actions, the visibility in the first phase must be really simplified. And this is where we are really good at. So ease of use is something we use for a very long time. Smart security simply done. It's something we force here. And let's look at the products, how we do this and where we are doing this. At first, and this is where most people know us around the world, Watchguard is known for a product called Firebox, Network Security, Perimeter Security. So it's a firewall we provide in a physical way, but also as a cloud infrastructure and a cloud firewall. And even if you run your own private cloud infrastructure somehow in a hyperscale environment, we provide a virtual firewall as well. So wherever you have data, wherever you have your network, you should have Watchguard to secure everything which is behind the network. And we see this more often, that these kind of products, specifically the hardware products, are used internally to secure different divisions inside a company. So for example, if you are developing something, this department should be more secure than, for example, just salespeople like me. I have some customer data, yes, but I don't have some intellectual property of the company. So firewall is key. And the way we are doing this is really providing a firewall, and I will dive into this a little bit more deeper. We're supporting multiple levels of security. Next topic is multi-factor authentication, a really hot topic these days because we see data breaches with stolen passwords all over the world. And I'm not sure if this is really a hot topic in your country, but promise it is a topic, and it will be a topic in the near future because we see this, not really. People not really taking care as they should be about how secure is a password. As a company, you may provide a rule like it must be changed in whatever number of days, or it must be really complex and all this. But human beings are lazy at the end, so they write down password. You know this, and with the typical combination of username and password, this is really a very tricky situation for companies. If people would like to get into your company, the first thing they're doing is they try to do social engineering. They try to get a username and password first before they even start thinking about what firewall do you have, etc. So a different way to secure access to authenticate is state of the art, and this can be done by multi-factor authentication. Secure Wi-Fi. Secure Wi-Fi doesn't mean Wi-Fi in general. Secure Wi-Fi means we add a kind of firewall level in any existing Wi-Fi environment. So you may keep your Wi-Fi environment, but there are some 20 years old, and this is designed in the Wi-Fi world. This is there are a couple of known holes in the Wi-Fi design. Not in your particular design. This is the Wi-Fi technology, which has some difficulties, and they are still there, even it's 20 years old and known. We are there to close these gaps, and I will provide today not that many details about this. But if you are in a kind of environment where, public, it's more like in a public space, restaurants, hotel lounges, etc. This is where hackers get in. Because in an expensive hotel, there are some important people using Wi-Fi, and I'm sure you know those who are clicking yes, 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 I accept everything, and at the end, hackers can be the man-in-the-middle attack in these Wi-Fi environments. So Watchguard takes care about this and really closes these security holes we identified and which are there since 20 years, more than 20 years. And recently, we made a big step forward in endpoint security, which is the last pillar in our portfolio. We acquired a company called Panda Security, very known in Europe and other parts of the world, but as a Spanish company, very well known in Europe. And this brought us a big step forward and closes the portfolio in a more broader range from perimeter to endpoint. And these are silos. These are just 4 products, but the whole idea is really to combine them through an overlay in terms of management and obviously logging report. We are not there because of, for example, Endpoint was just acquired and we currently implement this technology, but really anything else is combined in one management driven by cloud, scalable, which makes visibility easy, management easy, and rollout easy. So total security with total control using a cloud infrastructure for perimeter security, Wi-Fi security, endpoint security, etc. Let's look at some services we run on our firewalls. We call it layer defense. It's not something which is defined by us. It's the cyber kill chain is defined by someone else who looked at the typical threat, which goes in steps. In the old days, a hacker made a kind of, this is one step, I'm in, and then deal done. So I sent the malware via email, and then this email is in the company and do some bad stuff. This is old school. Modern attacks, or this were evolved to modern attacks, which take some steps, investigating first, and after investigating, do the first step, loading some first malware, which isn't really malware. It's just there to do the next step, etc., etc. So it's really in phases, and there are different ways to defend every single phase. between 1 and 7 here. And I think it's really key to understand. I'm not diving into the technology that deep, but it's really key to understand there is not a single feature which depends on every single phase here. You need a combination of features, of security services to defend at every single step. For example, let's look at the second step, which is delivery. So how malware is delivered. It is probably delivered by an email, by a download. So there are several ways to do this. It could be delivered in pieces. So not one executable software provided in just one phase. So the delivery takes several steps, and you have to make sure this perimeter firewall, endpoint security takes care about all the ways a delivery can be done. The way Watchguard is doing this by providing services, and these services are not built in silos. Means you have to configure intrusion prevention. You have to configure anti-spam. It is in many cases a combination of both, because these phases I've shown before needs to have a combined a feature set. So these are not silos working in parallel. These are integrated services, and this is when UTM comes in place, or the phrase which came beyond UTM means next generation firewall, or state-of-the-art firewall, like we more or less have today, having advanced security services like IntelligentAV, machine learning infrastructure inside the firewall, to make sure you catch even the latest zero-day attacks. Zero-day means you can't use a signature to compare some threats. You can't compare an HTTP stream, because you don't know if this is if this is developed a second ago by a bot, or if this is really old malware known. So you better have to make sure you work with including machine learning infrastructure, or you have some sandboxing infrastructure where you can upload executable files to see what is really behind this. And obviously there are some anti-phishing features as well. So really cool technologies if you use all these features together, which is really state of the art. And again, this is only the features inside the firewall. This means nothing if you do not have a kind of overlay in management. And this is where we strongly believe Watchguard is really key and plays a major role in the market. Let's jump to the next section, multi-factor. I just explained it in a very few words what we are doing here. It is really key today to rethink authentication. And authentication is can be done in a different way. Let's look at the lower right corner. It is about endpoint. It is about authentication against servers, portals, remote access, a very common situation since we all work from home. So authentication must be really improved. Don't use just credentials like username and passwords anymore. And you combine this authentication, which is, by the way, done using your mobile. Here is the token installed and deal done. You don't need a hardware. If you want a hardware token, if you want, you can use it. But these days, everyone more or less has a smart device, and you can use this as a token. So you have identities you can secure. This can even be private identity. I combined Watchguard multi-factor authentication with two-factor authentication at Microsoft, at Google, etc., all in one place in my token here in my smart device. And what you can do as a company, if you have a portal, if you have a single sign-on infrastructure and need, you can combine this as well. So multiple ways where you really can improve authentication with a small step of technology, but it's really useful and helpful for many companies to get rid of complex password and these very strange and old school password rules. So look at it, dive into it, test it. There's a 90-day trial version available at watchguard.com. Let's jump to the last topic because I have only a very few minutes today to introduce Watchguard. Is about endpoint security from Watchguard. It is We switched totally from a classical way of doing endpoint security to fully cloud managed and cloud supported endpoint security, fully machine learn supported. And unlike others, we turned around the view on security by having a kind of zero trust model. And since a couple of years, we call it really 100% classification, 100% attestation. What we're doing here, every single process who try to run on a computer will be identified and will be managed and run first through our security engine. So now it's not about providing this malware to a computer. This is probably not key. If it is key, if this malware is start to do something, this is the right moment you have to identify the malware, and you have to distinguish between malware and goodware. So we run this view on every single process which is running on endpoints to make sure we know everything about it, and then we can distinguish malware and goodware, and so we have a clean infrastructure. And this can be combined with some other things like patch management, encryption on endpoints. So really cool summary of options in endpoints. And at the end, obviously, we are currently working on an integration of management and logging reporting to bring all this together. We started to do this in the first phase by bringing 3 products already together, which can be used by a user with an endpoint like a MacBook and a laptop. It is about DNSWatch Go. It's an anti-phishing and DNS security feature which runs on an endpoint. It's about Outpoint. It's our MFA solution, and it's about this adaptive defense solution, which combines the latest technology in endpoint security. So all user-based technology all together in one package we call Passport. So I only had 20 minutes to introduce in a very brief way Watchguard. I hope you got some ideas what we are doing and how we are doing this and why we are doing this. So I'm pleased if you dive into this a little bit deeper and ask the right people at RSD and contact me. And if you want, here are my contact details. And I think I already run out of time, or let me know if so. Elena, yeah, okay, yeah. I can see you.
Hi, Michael. Again, thank you. Thank you very much for your presence here. It was very interesting, the presentation you've delivered. Thank you for the details and in general for your support to our company.